Hi, hello everyone. So this is our fourth podcast. This one's going to be quite simple actually. It's our top 10s. So what I did before is I had a number of top 10s that I put in a hat. I drew them out randomly and assigned them to different people. So we all have different set of 10s that we're going to go through. Yeah, this is just our opinion. It's not a fact. So we'll be talking about opinion. But we obviously encourage you to do your top 10s down below in the comments. Say that we're wrong if you really want, that's fine. Have a conversation, because I'm sure in my list I'm going to offend so many people. So let's crack on, and we'll start with Becky. If you want to tell them what your top 10 is, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so mine was like top 10 travel destinations. So instead of like places that I wanted to go and travel, I did top 10 places that I've been. So some of these are countries, some of these are places and stuff. And I've either gone with like why I like it, like why it's my favorite place, or like a funny story that I remember it for, something like that. So yeah, okay. So should I I'll say it, and if any of you guys I don't know, disagree or like want to know more about it or whatever, yeah, let me know. So the first one was the Peak District. It's probably my favourite place in the country to go to, and I think it's got some really nice memories. I climbed Scarfell Pike about 4 years ago before I had Phoebes, and yeah, it was the best thing ever. I've never climbed a mountain before, so that was really good fun. Did a stupid thing though, so we went up there and it was pissing down with rain. Sorry. Piddling down with rain.
I don't know if anyone noticed, but I swore in the first podcast.
Yeah,
I swore in the first podcast, and then no one's sworn since. But no one seems to pick up.
Does pissing count? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, let's not get into that again. So it was raining really hard at the bottom, so we had like coats on and everything. It was freezing. It was April, and got above the skyline, and it was roasting hot, so I got sunburn. So when we got down, I was like bright red. Oh, it was awful. And for anyone that knows me, I sunburn really easily.
We was only out in the garden for 10 minutes the other day, and you got burnt.
Well, I was out there for lunch, and already like I can feel my face and stuff. I'm a little bit warm. So that's that one, my top.
Cool.
The second one was Zagreb in Croatia.
Oh yeah.
So a bit of a random one.
So is this number 2 or number 9?
Number 9. Sorry, I'm going backwards. I'm going backwards.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, going backwards. Zagreb in Croatia. I went out there to watch a UFC fight night to go and see Junior Dos Santos fight, and it was awesome. There's a really weird museum, if anyone ever goes to visit Zagreb, at the top of the hill in like the town, that's called the Museum of Broken Relationships. And it's so odd. There's like little memorabilia of different people. They've written essays and stuff about why that reminds me of the relationship, and it was just so strange, and how people are. For a psychologist, it was amazing, because I'm there like, oh, people are really bad, and I enjoyed that. Have you?
Yeah, I've been to Zagreb. I didn't go to the Museum of Broken Relationships. I was only in Zagreb for like 3 days. I think that's enough though for Zagreb, to be honest.
Yeah. I was only there for like 3 days.
Yeah.
It's a nice,
very nice. Yeah, at the top of the hill, there's a very nice, like, colourful roof, is what I definitely remember.
Yeah.
Like, it's got loads of like blue, white, and then there's like a bird on it. That's basically my main memory of Zagreb.
Zagreb is really lovely. I think. So I was like 8 months pregnant when I went there. Oh, hi, Phoebes. Yes, darling. Oh, go on, Daddy. Sorry. I went out when I was like 7 months pregnant, and the hill, Phil, you've been there, the hill that you get to the top, nearly died.
Yeah, it's very steep.
And then I had Braxton Hicks contractions. Yeah, I thought I was going into labour. It was a little bit scary. Oh God. Yeah, no, seriously, I genuinely did. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have a baby in Croatia. What's going to happen?
They get dual nationality. Dual nationality then, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Does it work that way?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you get dual nationality.
You
can get. If you want to.
I'll remember that for the next one. I'll pick a cool country.
Right, okay.
Not Croatia.
I'd like to go to Croatia. That's one of my places I'd like to go to. Definitely, at some point.
I'd say if you're going to go, Jamie, you could go on like because on the beachy bit, like the oh my God, what's it called? Like where it meets the ocean, and they've got
Split. Split and Dubrovnik and places like that.
Yeah, because they do like boat tours and stuff like that. So it's like a proper holiday, like a holiday, and then you go to the city and you can have like a cultural experience.
Okay.
They're only like an hour away from each other, which is cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one was another weird weekend city break that I took to Frankfurt, which is like the strangest place in the world because it's proper like old school German. So every street corner you go to, there's either a gun shop or a pawn shop,
Really?
and there's one or the other. It's proper like, oh, that was a bit odd. And the only shops that you could find for food were basically sausage. And I hated German sausage at the time. Like it made me feel sick, just the smell of it and stuff. So I couldn't find anything to eat. We had to travel miles to go to supermarkets to buy food. But Frankfurt, beautiful city, lovely river running along the middle. That was really, really nice.
Is it quite similar to Berlin? Because I've only really been to Berlin in Germany, so I don't know what.
I don't know. I've never been to Berlin.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, Berlin's it's like a normal traditional city, really, isn't it? I'd say, Phil, wouldn't you?
Berlin's my favourite city I've ever been to. I think
it's quite similar to London in one way, I'd say, a little bit.
It's massive. It's huge, Berlin. I wouldn't want to say if it's bigger than London or not, but it is massive.
No, yeah.
But I'm surprised you didn't like the sausage. Currywurst. Did you have a currywurst when you were there, Jamie?
I think we might have done. The kebabs are very good out there in Berlin. Having a kebab. I went to tour, but no, the
cultural, nice.
Bratwurst sausages. Are they German? Yeah, they're good.
Bratwurst, yeah.
Yeah, I did a bratwurst, but I never had a currywurst one.
Currywurst is basically just a bratwurst with like a curry sauce over the top with curry powder sprinkled over it. Really nice.
Okay. Sounds all right.
I didn't try that.
Give it a try next time.
Okay, so yeah, Frankfurt. What was next on my list? What are we up to? 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is Bulgaria. I went skiing in Bulgaria when I was like really, really little, probably about 4 or 5, and it was my first ever holiday. And I remember it really, really vividly, which is weird. I remember going to the ski school and being called princess because I was the only girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. Because apparently in Bulgaria you don't get that very often. Yeah, and I remember going down the slope, like the little practice slope thing, and then smashing into the big like bit of snow, the soft snow at the end and things like that. So earliest memory, that's why it's on the list.
Chloe, where did you go skiing? Where you got like?
You to Bulgaria?
Bulgaria. I went to Borovets. I don't know if it was the same place that you went, but yeah, that's where I went and got stuck. But still went back, so it was fine.
Can you tell the story? Because I love this story.
I'll try and like shorten it. So basically, obviously, me and mum, we've been skiing. Well, I've been skiing since I was 10, but we went when I was must have been 18, because it was my first year of uni. And we went to Bulgaria and we went down one of the slopes, and there was like a sign called Wolf Rock, and it wasn't on the map, but me and mum like going off piste and all that. So we went down this like really narrow slope. It was like a red run. We got to the end and there was like 2 arrows, one which we know now, left was go back to the main like resort, and right was to start the like cross country rings. And because it was all in Bulgarian, we just lucky guess and went right, and we were like cross country skiing for at least 5 hours, and it got to the point where it was getting really cold. We hadn't had lunch, and we were like, do you know what, we go to this one place in Bulgaria where the sun always sets on that place at this time, so we're like, let's look, see where the sun is setting, we'll follow it. So we went off piste again, and we went down, and there was this like a massive tree that had like fallen over into like an iced waterfall, and we were like, we've definitely gone wrong here. So we took our skis off, and because our boots are so heavy, the first step I took without my skis on, my whole body just went like shot down, and it came up to like just above my hips, and we then had to like pull ourselves up using the trees and our poles. And I'd just been told that I got my asthma back as well, so I was having this massive panic attack and everything. It was like the worst thing. And then we finally got back up onto the cross country piste, and we saw like smoke from this hut, and we started skiing over to this hut, and then suddenly we just heard like wolves. And we were like, okay. So mum was like, right, ditch your stuff. What can we get to like fight anything off? It was like the most weirdest situation. And then in the end, we had to call like a ski rescue in the resort, but no one could talk a word of English. So we had to call my dad, who was back in Essex. Dad had to then call an English translator, who then had to call Bulgarian Mountain Rescue. And after 7 hours in total and 2 hours later, like waiting for ski rescue, they finally saved us. But it cost us like hundreds.
My God.
That was my
wow, yeah,
trip to Bulgaria. And we went back 2 years later and it was fine. So, but interestingly, we found out, so I went recently and back in Feb, and Wolf Rock isn't there anymore, so the sign isn't there. And I did some Googling. Turns out that the slope was actually a mountain biking track and not a ski track. So that's probably so yeah.
Oh, good story to tell, isn't it? So
yeah, it is.
I love that story.
They filmed scripts on less than that.
Yeah.
It's more of a story than half the scripts of the films.
That is true.
Oh, bless. Oh, I'm glad you're okay.
But yeah, I agree though. Bulgaria is a lovely place. Like, if anyone's starting out skiing, I'd recommend going there. Just don't go off-piste.
So, just on off topic there, I didn't know that off-piste was a skiing term. Because I use it in conversation. I'm like, yeah, just going off-piste. I didn't realise it was skiing.
yeah.
But, it's just yeah, of course. Oh, it's just a thing people say. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bulgaria. So I'm going a bit out of thingy now. We went to the south of France year before last. Possibly the worst holiday I've ever had in my entire life. Like legitimately the worst. I thought it was a really good idea to do like one of these budget sun holiday things where you pay like, I don't know, it's like 99 quid for a family of 4. So I took me, Phoebe's dad, my mother-in-law, and Phoebe. She was like, I know, she was like 2 as well, so horrendous age. I was like, yeah, we'll drive down. It can't be that far, right? 11 hours later, we arrive at this bloody campsite in the middle of nowhere that's literally up a mountain. By this point, I wanted to kill everybody in the car, including Phoebe. I just had enough, and I'd driven the entire way. We got to the campsite and they hadn't like made up the beds or anything, so it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I've got a toddler that's been in the car for 11 hours. I've got a mother-in-law who's like in her 70s. He's like, oh, my hip's really hurting, and it was just a nightmare. And then we were there for literally 4 days because these holidays aren't long, right? And then I had to do the entire trip back again. I wasn't happy.
That's number 4 on your list.
Yeah, the place was stunning. It wasn't a great holiday, but the place was amazing. So it was like it was in the middle of mountains, and you've got the kids, right? It was incredible. So you literally open the door and they're completely safe, but they can like run around and do all the rest of what they're doing. And I went for a 10k, but it's supposed to be a 10k run. I got lost. It ended up being 10 miles. But I was in the middle of this mountain range and like went into this little village, and it was stunning. So yeah, sometimes the worst holidays are also the best. Yeah, south of France, Dordogne was where it was. Dordogne.
Oh, I've heard of that.
I've been there actually.
Dordoigne's really cool, and we went to this place called the St. Christophe Rock, and it's like this prehistoric cave where the first settlers lived in France, and you can literally go and you can see all the cave paintings, and then you can see how people over periods of time have like settled in there. So you've got like place they used to live, like little caves and stuff, and then it turns into like a big civilization. You can kind of see the technology and stuff, which is really cool, and dinosaur bones, which always fun. Nice. Yeah, so I'd recommend the Dordogne. Okay, we're going a bit further away now, so I'm going to roll these into one. What am I on? How many have I got left? I can't remember.
I think you've got 3. Are you in your top 3 now?
Yeah, 3 more.
3 left. Okay, yes, that makes sense. So Christchurch in New Zealand is probably my like 3rd down.
Oh, I would have thought that New Zealand would have been your number 1.
Well, there are other places in New Zealand that might take top. But yeah, Christchurch probably is like my 3rd, and the reason being it's at the moment it's completely desolate. So there was a big earthquake there in 2000, or I want to say 14.
Yeah, I remember that.
2014. And when I went out there, it was like 2017, so it wasn't that long ago. And yeah, they're not able to rebuild on it because the companies won't pay out. So you go to Christchurch city centre, and they're basically living in tin sheds. Like the whole city now is just these tin crates and stuff just on top of each other where they're trying to live out of them. And there's this like makeshift museum that tells you all the stories of the people during the earthquake, and it's the most harrowing. So I've been to the 9/11 spot, I've been to Ground Zero, and I tell you what, this Christchurch one was worse because so many more people were affected, their entire lives were affected. It was like, and it came out of nowhere. That they just had no idea that it was coming, and they lost everything. They didn't just lose people, they lost their whole lives, which was pretty horrific, and they still can't get back to normal. So everyone's now moved out of Christchurch that can, and they live like, you know, neighbouring areas. So you've got whole communities that have been dispersed, which I think is probably saddest of all. It's a beautiful place and a beautiful city, or I can imagine it was a beautiful city, and now it's just sadness really. It's top 3 because of that, because it made me go, things can change in an instant. And you know, it's one of those things that was a buzzing city. It was the hub, it's like the hub of the South Island, and then one day it was just gone, like just completely wiped out. Mental.
I can see why it comes from.
Well, so
the tenuous link, you're liking it.
Well, the weirdest thing is, so when we went out there, I got stopped at the airport. Don't know why, just passed. I look shifty, who knows? And they were like asking me questions. They were like, oh, blah blah blah. What do you do? And I said, I'm a student, because I was in my 2nd year, I think, at this point. And they were like, oh, where do you study? I said, oh, Christchurch, right, Canterbury. And they went, oh, you're a Pommy. I was like, no, definitely not. But they couldn't, you know, obviously Canterbury Christchurch is literally a place in New Zealand. So they got very confused by me when I had a British passport and I was saying that I was from very weird. Yeah, but really nice place, which is cool. Okay, so my 2nd is Queenstown in New Zealand. So Queenstown's at the bottom, so you've got Christchurch is over here on the east coast, and then Queenstown is on the southwest coast, right at the bottom. Queenstown's like, it's a phenomenal place. If you've never been there, I would highly recommend it.
Is that their capital?
I think so. I think, is it? No, Dunedin isn't it? I don't know. It's one of them. But it's like a big touristy destination, and it's the first place that bungee jumps were invented in Queenstown. Bungee jumps were invented in Queenstown, and it's very like adrenaline driven. So everything that you do out there, like in Queenstown, is all about being an adrenaline junkie. So we did this thing where you get like a shuttle up to the top of the mountain, because all Queenstown is a skiing destination as well. In the summer, it's like a lake resort and whatever, a sea resort. In the winter, you've got mountains that have incredible ski slopes up. So we went up, and then we tobogganed all the way down it with a baby, because you know that's what you do. It was very random, and I asked them if I could do a bungee jump with her, because it gave that a go, and they said no to that one, but they did let us do a zip wire. So I've got a picture of me, like, I don't know, have I showed you guys the picture before?
No.
Oh, I'll show it to you because it's bloody brilliant. So there's this massive gorge that's like, it's huge, it's like a chasm, and we go from one side to the other, and I've got Phoebe strapped to my chest on her like little baby carrier thing, and then I'm strapped into this zip wire thing, and they're just like, go for it, and they just let us go across this gorge, and me and Phoebe's like,
Phoebe's lived a bit of a life, hasn't she?
That holiday was amazing. So she went in a helicopter, she climbed a glacier, she went on a zip wire, she did a toboggan down a mountain. Like, she's been to 3 different continents before she was 1 year old. But yeah, she's had a good little childhood there. She won't remember any of it. She's had a good time.
I wouldn't want to do a bungee jump. I wouldn't want to do that, but I don't mind zip wires. I like zip wires that go 8. I like go 8, so just doing zip wires and stuff. I wouldn't want to do bungee jumping. I couldn't do that. I never do.
No, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, same. No.
I don't want to tempt fate. Why would I want to tempt fate?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun way to go. If you're going to go, that's a bloody cool way to go.
I mean, all right, I'll bungee jump when I eventually hit 80. I'm not doing it at 21.
They won't let you do it then, I don't reckon.
No.
Yeah, they're really good fun, and the bungee jumps are amazing. They go off the bridges and stuff. Whereas in the UK, you don't really get that. We just don't have those kind of structures, I think, to do it. Yeah, no, it's cool. And the weirdest thing about Queenstown was that so I used to work in Chatham in Medway, and we rocked up at Queenstown. We've been traveling, so we stopped in Singapore. We've been traveling for like a good 24 hours with a baby and hadn't slept. Got there, checked into the hostel, and I got to the hostel reception. I was like, I recognise that guy. Someone I bloody worked with at Chatham. I was like, all right, Dave, how's it going? He's like, yeah. Yeah, no, it was really weird. He was like, yeah, I've been out here years. I was like, oh, what are the chances? So we had like a little catch up and stuff, and yes, that was weird. And then, okay, so my top one, this is my final best destination ever in the world ever, and it's a place called Kaitiri Tiri, and it's in the north of the South Island, and it's basically where rainforest meets beaches, and you can hike the full length of it, and you go up mountains and stuff, but it's beach mountains. So I hiked barefoot, which was like such an baby strapped to the chest, barefoot. My hippie self was loving life. Yeah, it's the best place in the world for me, and you can get these amazing burgers. There's one called Fat Tui. This is the best travel tip ever. It's called Fat Tui. It's from a little van in a shack in the middle of like down a street in Kaitiri Tiri on the beachfront. These burgers are like that. I'm not even joking. They're massive, and they're like lean lamb, New Zealand lamb.
They're sometimes the best places to go, the ones that you just think, oh, that looks weird. I'm not sure about that. If you try it, most of the time, sometimes they're the best place.
If you don't get salmonella, yeah.
Yeah, if you don't get serious food poisoning.
Yeah.
Have to be careful when you go for food, don't you? Have to be careful.
I have a tip for traveling though. Like when you go out, always follow locals. So don't follow like tourist guides or whatever. Always like look where the locals are eating or drinking or whatever, and go there. And if you see like a local car, so you can obviously follow the local cars and see where they go off the beaten track. And then you usually find the best place. That's how we found Fat Tui, because it was a complete locals destination in the middle of nowhere, which is grand. But yeah, there you go.
Cool.
Okay.
Right. Let's move on to Jamie, because Jamie's is going to be funny, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
What's yours, Jamie?
So I'll just get comfortable. So mine's top 10 TV shows. So this obviously can cause some quite controversy, but also very opinionated opinions. Obviously, it can be quite opinionated because this is my opinion on what my favourite TV shows are, and everyone's got a different personality, different views. So just a bit of disclaimer out there before I disclose these. Yeah, so I've gone for, so start at 10. So 10, I've gone for a documentary that I've just watched. Actually, it's quite a recent one. It's called The Test, which is on Amazon Prime and Netflix. But it's about the Australian cricket team. So it's like a whole 2 years they follow the Australian cricket team, do a documentary about them. That's really interesting, and how they obviously started off when first they started. Lost, I don't know if you might remember, a few of the players got suspended for ball tampering. It was sandpaper. They weren't playing for like a year. They had like a year without them, and how they didn't really perform very well for a year. The Australian really struggled for about that year when they weren't playing. So they were literally the best players essentially. But they're rebuilding. They come back, and then a year later, they returned, and obviously now they start doing better. They beat us in the Ashes, unfortunately. Basically because we drew the Ashes, they retain it because they won it last time. But it's really interesting to see how they rebuilt the team and rebuilt the squad. So that was really interesting. So that's 10. Also, number 9, I've put quite an old series called Dad's Army. You might have heard of it. I really quite enjoy it. A bit of old manny thing. My dad likes it, so I've sort of been watching it at home when he was dad. But it's like about the home base in World War II. There's a home guard squad that helped look after each individual sort of towns especially on the coast. But it's about that. It's quite a funny comedy. It's quite funny.
Can you do the theme song for us, Jamie?
I'm not very good at that. No, I won't bother. I don't think. So.
Were you jealous when Adem had Dad's Army like live performance tickets or something for the other week?
Because I like the current. So when they did the Dad's Army film as well, you might have seen. But it's like the cinemas and stuff. It's quite a popular film, but I didn't really like that much because I preferred the old cast. The original cast are so much better than the new. Obviously, there was the current people playing the parts of the obviously the people in it. So it was quite. It wasn't the same. If you know what I mean. It's just like someone different playing Harry Potter. It'd be different, wouldn't it? It would be a completely different film. But no, it was all right. It was good fun. But no, I think Adem, I was interested, but I know I did message my dad, and he couldn't go, unfortunately. But no, yeah, it's good. It was unfortunately, it was on the same day, wasn't it? It was literally that evening, I think.
Yeah.
But
Adem didn't even go in the end.
no, it's a shame because it was probably quite a good laugh. But no, it's just
Gone on your own, Jamie.
Yeah,
On your own.
I'm not really. I know people do say goes to cinema and stuff on your own, but I'm not really a fan of that. I like to go with someone to keep company. But no, that was it. And also I went to like Norfolk a couple of years ago, and obviously they had where it's based in somewhere called Thetford in like Norfolk, so that's where it's based. Even though it was filmed, which in the south, even though on the TV it's in the south coast. So, but yeah, so that was quite interesting to see the town on the TV and in real life. Next, so moving on to 8. So 8 is Taskmaster. I don't know if you've seen that before. It's on Dave, but it's basically run by Rob. Yeah, so it's basically all these comedians may do different challenges. So there's 5 comedians. They've done like 10 series of it. It's been so popular, and they literally do little funny challenges. So it could be like, you have to count how many beans there are in a tin of beans, or you have to throw. There was one that was really fun. You got to have a dartboard. You can either throw 60 darts from like 50 meters away, or like 3 darts from like 1 meter away, and who got the highest, and you have to choose what you want to do, and it's like quite fun. That's quite a good challenge. But most of them meant for the 60.
Is it something we could do, Jamie?
Yeah,
do you reckon you could steal some tasks?
Well, there's loads of different tasks they do. Obviously, all the tasks we probably could do. Like one of the tasks is like trying to make someone laugh, and or you have to like build a water. I don't know. It's just all different. I can't think of loads on top of my head, but there's some of those things are quite good things to do. Yeah, definitely could look into that. But I found it really funny. Really, yeah, it's quite cool. Definitely give it a watch if you haven't done. All the series are on Dave. So, all 7 Only Fools and Horses. So, obviously that's mainly on Gold, but it's quite funny. I mean, it's obviously quite an old series, but I just find it quite funny with Del Boy and Rodney in their 3-wheel van. All the Ricky products selling loads of babies that can
selling babies. What?
Selling babies they're selling like doll babies that can speak like different language. They're meant to be Spanish, not English, that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's quite cool. We got then 6. We got The Chase. So I like a quiz show. Even though I'm not very good at quizzes, I like watching it to learn stuff as well. But I like Bradley Walsh in it. It's quite funny, and the Chasers are quite good. Obviously, they're really good brains, and obviously the top brains in the country. So it's quite funny. They hardly ever win, but it's still a good watch. It's 5. Gavin and Stacey. Found it quite
nice. Good choice. Good.
If you watched the Christmas show, that was really good actually. The Christmas.
Did you think? I thought it was crap.
I thought it was really
honestly
good.
Thought it was rubbish.
Show. The new one. I don't know. I was better than I thought it would be, to be honest. But
yeah, me too. I thought it'd be better because I always played it down because I think with these things they're bringing it back. It's not going to be that great. So I thought it was better than what I actually expected.
There was no new jokes in it though, and it was all I don't know. It lacked luster for me. I don't know. Just enjoy it.
No, it was good. It wasn't as good as the original series, but it's still pretty good. I thought. But yes, that's 5. My favourite character probably would be Bryn. I just like Bryn. It's funny, isn't he? Can relate to him a little bit, so it's kind of fun. Yeah.
Phil and Chloe, if we had to choose a character for Jamie, who would you choose?
I've Gavin and Stacey.
What do you mean choose a character for?
So who do you think he's like?
Oh. I don't know. Are you leaning towards Bryn? Because I don't think he's like Bryn.
No, my favourite character. That was all. I just listened. I'm like, yeah.
Are you more someone like Budgie? Like
the
like bumbling guy at the end.
Yeah, or Chinese Alan as well.
Chinese Alan. I was going to say Chinese Alan.
I was actually going to say Chinese Alan as well.
Jamie is now Chinese Alan.
It's quite funny. But no, yes, good series. We've definitely watched if you haven't done already. On iPlayer as well, so you can watch on there. Next one is it's quite more of a not documentary, more of like a educational one. It's called Planet Earth. By Sir Dave, big Sir Dave Attenborough. So
Sir Dave.
I just find it unbelievable really what wildlife is out there and what creatures are and how they sort of move about and how they feed their families and all that. It's really amazing. I just like what. I like the what's the underwater one? There's one they did not Planet Earth.
Blue
Planet. Yeah.
Blue Planet as well. That's a good one as well. Just it's really mad to get the cameras, like to get the angles, get the must take the years of filming to get all the footage.
Yeah.
But no,
it must take years, literally
definitely,
years.
Yeah. I literally go right under the depth of the oceans, and it's ridiculous. But no, that's an amazing series. I don't know if
what number are you on now?
I'm on 3 now. 3.
I was expecting a lot more game shows in this so far, Jamie. I'm not gonna lie.
I haven't really gone for many game shows. Well, I've only gone for one actually, game show.
Wow.
I only really watch The Chase. I don't really watch like Pointless. Like it's on at the same time. You have to. You can't watch both. You have to
choose.
Yeah.
I do like Pointless though, but also like. Countdown's I've been watching that recently. It's been alright.
Countdown's banging.
That's on at 2 o'clock now, so it's obviously you've got time to watch it. I never usually have time to watch it during the day. But
Amy gets really frustrated with it as well.
Yeah, the maths one really bugs me because I really can do the maths. I just don't have enough time. 30 seconds is not enough time. Whatever. But no, yeah. So that's cool. But that's pretty cool. But yeah, I do like what other quiz shows. No, there's not many, but that's definitely the best one. I think The Chase. Third one, I think Phil might have seen. We watch a lot of police dramas, so like police sort of crime dramas, that sort of thing. So I've been watching a lot of series at the moment, but I like particularly like Line of Duty is a big one at the moment. I'm really like well into. I've watched all the series now, but I'm well into it. Obviously, it's about corrupt coppers trying to catch them out. But yeah, no, they've done like 5 series, and it's like amazing police drama. I love it. I watch like police and stuff of that as well, but because when I was younger, police was one of the things I wanted to consider being as well, police officer, but I thought I'm not a bit too nice and not strict enough. I'm not really. So I thought, that wasn't the only reason, but I just thought that I wouldn't be quite like be a policeman. But I do like watching the dramas.
Have you watched 24 Hours in Police Custody? Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. But there's might be one tomorrow.
That's really good. Yeah. Good. Real life things. They literally follow from when someone gets arrested. They follow the investigation to when they have to release them from custody to see if they can charge them. Really cool. Anything from like petty theft, drug abuse, or whatever, to murder. Like it's awesome.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. No. Oh, okay, no, that's really cool. No,
I've seen you watch the like Repo Men one as well, where you like don't pay, take it away, that sort of stuff. I know it's not the same as the dramas, but I've seen you. I've gone downstairs and you were like, oh, this person didn't pay for their car. Look, they're taking it.
Taking it. Yeah. No, I love stuff like that. Yeah, I like realistic stuff. Like I like real just real like happy stuff, daily stuff that happens really. And then you might be, so I've got 2 more left. It might be quite obvious what the second one might be. You might have thoughts in your head. Second one is Love Island.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
I just love it. I love like the main reason why I love it is mainly like the beef. I like the beef between the couples and the arguing. I like the arguing and that sort of thing. I just like the challenge. I just find it funny how like you can like a girl or a boy or whatever and then move on to someone else within like a couple of days. It's just so weird. But I just find it, if I watch it for the funny or really not because I actually enjoy it that much, just because of the laugh.
You've upset Becky. You realise you've upset Becky.
Why? Yeah.
I hate that show. I think it's awful.
No, the winter one wasn't as good.
The downfall of our civilization.
I know.
Yeah.
It was controversial.
No, the winter one wasn't as good as the summer one. I think the best summer one was with Nathan and Cara. That series.
Oh, yeah.
That series was probably my favourite.
Well, like half of them are now married, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're hardly ever, probably, maybe like 1 or 2, but most people just sort of break after the show anyway. Most people don't stay together anyway, so it's a pretty pointless show, but it's just funny. I just find it funny. But yeah, and the last one, number 1, because we only got a few minutes left before we is In Betweeners. So number 1.
Yeah, that's a shout. That's such a shout.
I just find it hilarious, really. You can't really beat it. I mean, you wouldn't be able to probably show those like that now, like create new series like that. But yeah, I just find it quite funny, and obviously.
I can't believe there was only 2 series. It's such like a cult thing, and there was just only 2 series of it.
In your mind, doesn't there seem like a million episodes?
Yeah,
so many.
So many.
Yeah. But that's the same with like it's called the 40 Towers phenomenon. There's like 1 series of 40 Towers or something, and yet it's this cult thing that everyone thinks that there was like series for series, because it like I think it ingrains in people's psyche, so they get to know the characters, they like imagine a whole life. Crazy.
No, I agree. No, but that's I just find that I do sure somebody might agree, but no, I just like my favourite episode's got to be the Thorpe Park episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a good episode.
Yeah.
I like the caravan one.
Oh yeah, the caravan.
I watched that one the other day.
Let's not repeat some of the
Actually,
jokes in the caravan.
No.
Right now.
No, we might not repeat stuff on here, but you can watch it in your own time if you want. People. But no, that's it. That's my top 10 really.
Well, okay. So disclaimer: I haven't got any Disney princesses, and I haven't got any of the original casting like Mickey Mouse, Pluto, Goofy. Because I just thought leave that because I don't really.
Too many, is it?
Well, it has. You'll see, but I haven't done Disney princesses because I'm just not a fan of Disney princesses. I just think like they were made to be like you're going to like them. Does that make sense? So I've gone with a range of characters.
Just before you start, Chloe, sorry, we'll just explain that we haven't cut anything out. We've just had a jump cut before because Zoom only allows you to film for 40 minutes. And Jamie and Becky took the 40. We've started another one, so we've got another 40 minutes. We haven't cut anything out where you just see this weird jump and now we're all over in different parts of the screen.
So my number 10 is Mr. Fredrickson from Up. So I've gone with I've gone with him because he's literally the animated version of my granddad. He literally he literally looks like him. It's so weird. But yeah, that's kind of why I put him on that. And also Up is just like a great film. And yeah, he's cute and yeah.
Have you seen all the theories about that where he's actually like died and that he's now being taken to like his version of heaven? And,
oh really? I haven't seen that. That's so cool.
There's like theories behind it. And what's the Boy Scout? I've forgotten that person's name.
I can't remember.
But anyway, he's apparently he's like the guardian angel and he's the one leading him to this place.
That's so
fan fiction for Disney Pixar. I didn't realise there was.
I think people read too much into it, but
so that's my number 10. My number 9, and I only watched this 3 or 4 days ago, Tangled, and it's Flynn Rider, the Prince Charming. And the only reason I've picked him is because traditionally, like Prince Charmings are like a bit like boring and don't really have a personality, perhaps. But Flynn Rider, they like give him a really good personality, and also you're not meant to like him in the beginning. He's a bit of a like bad boy, and you're a bit like, oh, don't go with you want the princess not to go with him, sort of thing. Like I like the twist they give his character, I think. So yeah, he's on there.
And their kingdom's called Corona.
Pardon?
Did you know their kingdom's called Corona? Have you seen
that?
No. Yeah. The kingdom they're in is called Corona.
That is a conspiracy theory in itself.
That's another theory.
Yeah, because she's locked in a tower, isn't she? She's locked away. She's not allowed out.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
My brain. So yeah, that's my number 9. Number 8 is Edna Mode from The Incredibles.
Yes.
Yeah, I just think she's one of those characters where she doesn't show up in the movies a lot, but if she wasn't in the movies, it would just be completely different. Like she just gives that different like part of the movie, if that makes sense. She brings that different element.
She's got the most quotable lines as well.
Yeah, exactly. And have
you seen Incredibles 2, Chloe? Have you seen
I have.
I saw it in the cinema the other day.
I saw it in the cinema. I can't really remember what happens, but I'll have to watch it now that I have Disney.
I will lend you all my Disney Plus account. Okay,
I have
just
it now.
have a Disney on. Oh,
I know.
Jamie and Phil.
Actually good.
I'm not a massive fan. I do like watch some of these Disney films. I'm not a massive fan. I don't know like all of them.
But it's got everything on it. It's not just like the normal Disney ones. It's like Star Wars and all sorts.
Oh yeah, I love Star
Wars.
Wars.
It's got everything. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's good. I've watched like a Disney movie every day since I've got it now, so it is good. So number 7, I actually forgot about this character, but Chicken Little. I actually love Chicken Little. Like it's like a brilliant movie, and I think when I went to Disneyland Paris when I was like 13 or 14, he was the first character I had a picture with. And yeah, I think I just like him as a character, to be honest. I haven't watched the movie in a while, so I can't really say too much about him, but or his character. But yeah, number 6. This is my only like human Disney character, so the rest of them are animation. But I went with Sharpay from High School Musical. Just because I actually really like her character. Like, again, like if she wasn't in High School Musical, it would be really dull and boring, and she actually just really makes me laugh. Like, I don't like Gabriella at all, and I just love that Sharpay makes her life the living hell, to be honest.
You've really come at this from a film student's perspective.
Yeah, can you tell? I haven't gone with any main characters. My number 5's going into my top 5 now. Number 5 is Baloo from the Jungle Book, but the original. I haven't seen the remake. But yeah, the original Baloo.
The remake's okay.
Is it? Yeah, I'm not
It's
really.
Okay.
I think the best one in that is Shere Khan, just because it's Idris Elba, and it's like he's the only good character in the new one. But yeah, Baloo's awesome.
Yeah, love Baloo. Like, everyone loves a good sidekick, and I think Baloo's like up there with the best sidekicks in Disney. So number 4, sorry. Number 4, now you might disagree with me on this because I've combined them 2 as one character, but Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head from Toy Story.
Oh, I love Mr. Potato Head. Yeah, he's the best character.
You can't have one without the other, and they're just the best Disney couple ever. So they're number 4.
I forgot Toy Story was Disney, but like, you know, just don't you put 2 and 2 together? So that's quite cool.
Yeah. Then number 3, just because when I think one of my first ever holidays was I went to Disneyland, Florida, with my family, and we went to when I was about 4, and we went to one of the live shows, and we saw Little Mermaid. And on the way back, we hired a car, and I'm in the back of the car in my baby seat, and it's like a 3-minute long video of me just going, I saw Sebastian, just 3 minutes. And so basically my number 3 is Sebastian from The Little Mermaid, just because he's like the first character I remember loving from like a really young age. But also, again, like, without him, The Little Mermaid wouldn't be like a great movie or a classic sort of thing.
Do we think The Little Mermaid is a great movie?
I've got some real reservations about this, guys.
Oh God, I shouldn't have asked.
Yeah. I watched it the other day. It's the first time that Phoebe ever watched Little Mermaid. And I remember watching it years ago, but I haven't watched it since. And I was watching it, I was like, this has got some real bad undertones, like some messages here. Really, like, okay, so first of all, we're gonna give away our voice to be with a man, then we're going to give up our legs to be with a man, then a man has to kiss us without us saying yes, because that's okay. Like, there's some real big issues over here.
4-year-old me didn't see that, but I love
some
Sebastian,
of the Disneys are really outdated.
Yeah, they are.
They're just products of their time.
Oh my God, Dumbo, cringe.
That's probably why they've had to remake so many, though, isn't it? Perhaps.
But you know the original of Little Mermaid. So in the original one by Hans Christian Andersen, they all die. Like, she dies and she gets dragged down through the, because they're really dark, aren't they? Like, Hans Christian Andersen stuff's really dark, and she gets dragged down to the depths by her sisters, and it's very, it's very dark. I know, not.
But yeah, number 3, Sebastian, and he's like the good best friend, like the best friend you want to have, sort of thing. So number 2 is Winnie the Pooh. I have a Winnie the Pooh teddy bear, so I think Winnie the Pooh also a bit like Edna Mode, like you can like Winnie the Pooh like all through the ages, and there's so many quotes from Winnie the Pooh film that so many people use at the moment, and I just think it's like it helps that he's, or I don't know, is Winnie the Pooh he or she? Do we know? He's like just a very likable character, I think, and a likable main character.
How old is that? How when was it first out? Years ago.
Years ago. Is that one of the? Is it one of the first or something?
It was written. A.A. Milne was written. He wrote it in like the, I think, late 40s, early 50s. But it's not as old as Jungle Book's older.
Yeah.
And Dumbo was done before the war. Dumbo was written. It was like 1930.
I think Snow White's the earliest Disney, isn't it?
Yeah, Snow White's the first one.
Something.
Yeah.
All the good ones are really old.
Yeah. But yeah, Winnie the Pooh's up there. And my number 1 is Mike Wazowski from Monsters Inc. So
Mike Wazowski.
Yeah, so Mike's my number 1 because I think when I first watched Monsters Inc., I don't know about you guys, but you're almost led to think that Sully's the main character and Mike's his sidekick. But actually, from watching the first one and the second one, I find that they're both just as key and main to the film as each other. and that Mike like grows into like his own throughout both movies, which I think is really, really nice. And I think he's just a very lovable character, and he's really funny and crazy. And yeah, Mike.
Well, Sully has no character really.
Yeah,
He does. It's just like he relies on the fact that he's big and he's almost like that bloke in school that's really attractive but nothing upstairs. And then Mike's like the weird looking funny guy.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, Mike's up there. What I haven't put in, so with one of my favorite Disney films is Inside Out, but I haven't got a character from there because I wanted to put Disgust, but she doesn't appear as much in the film as I'd want her to. But yeah, but my favorite Disney film is Inside Out. I just haven't put any of the characters, but they're my top 10 characters.
Nice.
That was really good, actually. It wasn't very obvious. There's a lot of ones
yeah.
I didn't even think about.
Yeah, film student.
Yeah, literally. Well, that's a bit of a segue, isn't it? Because my top 10 is films. Oh, God, here we go. Let's hope nobody waited this long into the video, so I can just talk to no one.
Yeah.
So, similar to Chloe, disclaimer, there is no Lord of the Rings and there is no Star Wars in this top 10.
That can make up the
There's
whole.
no Lord of the Rings.
I would have done the same though. I wouldn't have put any of the Harry Potters.
Oh, well, okay, I did, but...
Oh, okay, fair.
But yeah, I'm going to contradict myself slightly because there's such good films as a collective. It's hard to pick one that's necessarily better than the other, and then where they would then sit in the top 10. I am going to contradict myself because, like I said, one of the Harry Potter films is on this list, but I'll get to why I put it on the list where I have and things like that in a minute.
So it should be.
What, Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
So number 10, I'm not sure how many people have watched this, and this is my only like sports related film in here, and it's not really something that people would necessarily think straight away. It's called The Blind Side.
Oh,
so
yeah,
basically it's a really like cute, friendly film. It's kind of sad and then progresses into this happy ending, and it's really nice to see this character, well, based on a true story, it's really nice to see this character progress and go through the troubles and hardship that they had, and then become this professional football player, which is basically what they become, American football. And basically it's about this boy that's born into a really poor family in America, doesn't really have anything, is massive in terms of they are huge. I think they were like 6'4" from about 13 or something. But what didn't have access to any sporting facilities or anything like that. This family then sort of found and sort of started to let this boy stay in their home and things like that, and basically gave them access, or gave the person access to sporting facilities. They eventually came into American football, and it's the story about that and the thing they go through basically. So yeah, that's number 10, The Blind Side. If you haven't watched it, I do recommend it. Then number 9 is Saving Private Ryan. So I like war films, and it was a toss-up between two here actually in terms of war, like the war category for me. It was Saving Private Ryan and it was Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge, yeah.
Hacksaw Ridge is probably the better film in my opinion, but the reason I put Saving Private Ryan in here is because it was one of the first ones where I go, oh, okay, that's a good war film. I've watched it multiple times, and it's got some very, well, not that Hacksaw Ridge doesn't, but it's got some really good actors in Saving Private Ryan, and they seem to pop up everywhere in every scene, basically. So that's the reason it's there. I think it's basically to represent. Sorry, go on.
That's what I was just saying. Carry on, you carry on. I'll say. It's
basically to represent sort of the war section, because there's another one that you could argue does represent it as well, but
I thought you might have liked. Sorry, I think you might like something like, because you like football, Escape to Victory. I thought that's a good war film.
I'm not sure I've ever seen it.
No, it's a good film. It's basically where there's the prisoner of war camp in Germany, obviously, and obviously a lot of the English players are there, like Bobby Moore, that sort of thing, and put in the prisoner of war camp. And they basically in this camp, and Sylvester Stallone's in it as well.
So random.
Yeah, I know, literally. Sylvester Stallone, yeah. And then they play football just because there's something to do during the day and stuff. And then one of the senior officers like, oh, you could play our German national team. So they play a football game against the German national team. So it's English prisoner of wars against the German national team.
Oh,
Is that
okay.
true? Is that real?
It's based on a real story, apparently. But it's good, of course, escape to victory. But yeah, and then they try and escape, obviously, during the game. So obviously, when the game happens, they're trying to get them out at half time. But they
I think I've watched that actually.
Yeah, it's good.
Quite good. It is a good film, I think.
It's a good war film. Yeah, they don't want to escape at half time. They want to
Mm.
continue playing, and the ref's obviously very biased towards Germany, and obviously all the crowds are against Germany. Obviously for the English, obviously, because it's in France the game's held. So it's in
That
Germany.
sounds interesting.
But no,
Yeah.
definitely. Just thought I didn't know you. I thought you might have watched it. Actually.
I'm sure there's loads that I have actually watched that you might say, like, oh yeah, that should have been in there, but this is just what I can
No, for the rest
what I can remember. But yeah, I haven't seen that. I'll try and have a watch.
Yeah.
My next one is The Dark Knight. So
Yeah.
the Batman film, obviously. The reason it's probably so low, because it is probably one of the best films on here as a film. But the reason it's so low is not because I haven't watched it in ages. I've probably only watched it a couple of times. But Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker is pretty much the standout of that film, to be honest. Which says a lot because the film is very good as of outright. Yeah, just a really good film.
What do you think of Heath Ledger versus Joaquin Phoenix in The Joker? What do you think of those?
I haven't seen the Joker.
Have you not?
No.
You need to watch that film. It's very good.
No, I do. It is on my list to watch it. Yeah. But at the moment, because I haven't seen, at the moment because I haven't seen it, Heath Ledger is the best Joker I've seen.
Yeah.
Jared Leto's version of it is.
Did he do one? When was that?
In Suicide Squad.
Oh, I didn't watch.
Yeah.
Not good.
No.
Number 7 is Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, it's got
it's such a good film.
So there is not a more quotable film than Hot Fuzz, in my opinion.
And Simon Pegg and Nick Frost work well together, don't they?
Yeah, and out of the three, they sort of did a trilogy. Hot Fuzz was the middle one, the best one in my opinion. I think they call it the Cornetto trilogy because there's 3 different types of Cornetto. But yeah, the best one, really funny, not more quotable one, and I'm pretty sure there's not a day in the office goes by where we don't quote Hot Fuzz in some capacity. So it's a big favourite in the office as well as me. And it's always on ITV. It was always on ITV2, so I swear I watched it once every 2 weeks for a while. Yeah. On to the next one. 6 is Forrest Gump. So this is the sort of one where I was like, oh, it could be interpreted as the war film because there is obviously war parts to Forrest Gump. But I just really like the story. I like the progression of the character and things like that. I don't think that there are some films that obviously focus on story, but modern films seem to really focus on like lots of bangs, lots of guns, and there's not like that many films coming out that focus on a story that can take you all the way through for 2 hours, which I think Forrest Gump really does.
I like the historical aspect of that as well. I like going through and going, oh look, there's Elvis, and then like figuring out how things like fit together and stuff. That's really cool.
And how one person can have lived such a life. I know it's not true, but how one person can live such a life is amazing. And a lot of quotable things in that film as well, to be fair. I don't know one person that doesn't know where Run Forrest Run doesn't come from. So
Run Forrest Run.
Number 5 is Toy Story.
Yes.
So the first Toy Story, I think most of the Toy Stories are good. I think the first one can't really be beaten, though. Like with most things, just a really good film. I think it came out, and the animation actually for when it came out, I think it came out in like 95 or 97 or something.
It
was the first CGI filmed, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it was a length one.
Yeah. So for that's like 20 odd years ago or something. It's so good for the animation. And you didn't really appreciate the animation as a kid because obviously we would have been. Well, Jamie, were you even born when it came out? I don't know.
When did it come out?
No, he wasn't. 95.
Was it? Was that old? Is that old, the first one?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I wasn't born, no.
I was 3.
Yeah. I was 2, so yeah, we obviously wouldn't appreciate it then. But now if you look back, compared to where, obviously, we've seen where CGI is now, even Toy Story still holds up, to be honest.
Yeah,
How many years ago?
But then it's the same with a lot of Disney films. Like if you look even at like the Jungle Book, which was the 1930s, and you go, actually, they were like cutting edge, ahead of their time. You could look at it now and still say it was a decent film. Whereas most other things that from that time period and the 90s was like, oh,
yeah.
Anyway.
My next one, 4, is the Avengers Infinity War. So this is not the last Avengers, it's the second to last one. It was basically the culmination of like loads of different singular films from what, like Thor to Black Panther to whatever, all coming together in this. There had been loads of other Avenger films as well, and everyone seemed to make an appearance in this. There was the final battle, and then there was the Thanos click that basically was memed 1,000 times, but that was really, for a superhero geek such as myself, that was really, really, really good. And I think the Endgame was a very good film as well, but just didn't have that same sort of shock factor, because obviously it was the ending of all of it. It was basically the summary of that journey, whereas I think Infinity War had a bit more of a shock factor and a bit more of a edge of your seat. And I think it's about 2.5 hours, and it flew by for me. So that's when you know a good film, if the time goes quickly, I think. Have you seen the Avengers, Becky? Because you looked a little bit like, oh,
no, I have literally no idea what you're talking about. Like, I know that it's some sort of comic book thing, but I couldn't tell you who was in it or anything.
I think Avengers Endgame is the highest grossing film of all time now.
I remember a friend of mine who went to like the midnight showing of it or something the night it came out, and he was like all hyped up about it, and I was like, I don't understand, I don't get it.
Yeah, if you get, because it's actually so complicated, because there's loads of different other films that then link into the Avengers, which is a group. So you've got, I dread to think how many, somebody will know, someone put in the comments how many actual films there are of the Marvel universe. But yeah, it must be a silly amount, and they're still
Marvel
making
Society. If you're watching this, if you could just comment and tell us, and tell me which order to watch the films in, I will go and watch them.
Yeah, because you could argue that there's 2 orders, because you could argue it's the date that they're released, so like, i.e. the one that's filmed and released in 2000 compared to 2010, or you could say there's the Marvel universe chronological order that you should watch it in.
Yeah, it's on my bucket list to do it in chronological order. And I looked the other day, and is it the latest one where it's like Captain Marvel, where Captain America is now a female? They say to watch that that's the second movie you should watch, even though it's the latest to come out. Yeah, I think Disney Plus have like 18 of the movies. So I'm going to start that soon.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
Do it.
If you are into superheroes and you like superhero films and stuff, Marvel's definitely get on.
No, I really don't. Like, that's probably the lowest on my list. But I feel like I'm missing out on a massive thing here. But everyone's like, oh yeah, superheroes, Endgame.
Yeah. Anyway, and if you have Disney Plus as well, you might as well, because there's 18 movies of it on there, so you might as well watch it.
I'll give it a go.
But also, if you're interested in marketing, the way they marketed Marvel was exquisite, exquisite marketing. But anyway, we don't need to get in that. And then, so my number 3, so we're in my top 3 now. Number 3 is Harry Potter, Goblet of Fire. So that's the 4th.
That's a good one.
I think that's my personal favourite. This sort of represents all the Harry Potters for me, but Goblet of Fire is my personal favourite. I think Harry Potter is an interesting film because generally the acting is not very good. Generally, like, the writing isn't that great, to be honest. There's loads of stuff that's potentially wrong with the Harry Potter films, yet they're all just so good. Like, because we've just been brought up with them. Like, we've been brought up with the books, we've been brought up with the films, the characters. We saw the characters develop over, when did they stop releasing films? Maybe 7 years, 8 years ago. So we saw them over our lifetime, over the 16 years or whatever. We saw these characters develop. We would have been about the same age as them going through it as well. So it's just,
as you say, it's been amazing seeing how they progress throughout the years of their school. Basically, pretty much, as you say, the same time as us really at school. But it's amazing to see how they've grown up from the Philosopher's Stone to like.
That's why it was so good though, because it mirrored us as well. If you think they got to like their year 9 or whatever, and then they got into girls or boys, and it was like we all were doing the same things at the same time. That's what I loved about it. I thought it was really cool.
And it's like inherently British as well. There's so many things that are like British about it compared to a lot of the American cinema that we get. So there'll be loads of different things that we can say, oh, so I don't know, just because they're in London, or they'll drink tea or whatever, and we can associate with being muggles, and everybody hopes they actually have magic powers and can make a snake disappear, but really we're all just muggles.
Yeah, it's like the scene on platform 9 3/4. Like it's in what King's Cross, isn't it? It's like such a British scene.
Yeah.
And the Ford Anglia and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like it's just an institution, really.
Yeah,
it's part of British culture now. 100%. Harry Potter is a part of British culture.
Oh yeah, definitely. They've got their own studio museum.
Yeah, in Watford.
I haven't been for years, but
people
Cool.
go to King's Cross, don't they, just to see platform 9 3/4? Yeah. Was it FIFA? We went there, didn't we? We went to see. We saw it, didn't we? It was a massive like queue for it and everything, wasn't it? Unbelievable.
Me and Jamie just waiting for our train to go up to NUS training, and there's loads of people queuing to go take a picture with platform 9 3/4.
Cool. Yeah, ridiculous.
It's mad, but it is so good though.
Yeah.
It's also really because it's timeless, like, so it's not set in a specific time period because they don't have technology, right? Because it's set in like a alternate universe. So I will read the books to Phoebe now and it will be exactly the same as if we were reading them, because there's literally nothing to tell us what time period that is. I only noticed that when I got older with that.
And I think I picked Goblet of Fire because that was the first one that became slightly darker, became slightly more adult, if you want to put it that way, and it just sort of timed in with where I was changing in terms of film. So I'd now progressed from wanting to see Philosopher's Stone. I'd now hit an age where I wanted to see Goblet of Fire, basically. It
was like the first big death as well, wasn't it, at the end?
Yeah.
And that's when you started to properly understand the powers of like Voldemort and stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He must not be named.
Sorry.
Tom Riddle.
My number 2 is Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, yes.
So, I just think that it's my mum's favourite film, so I actually think this is where I've got the love from it. I originally watched it with my mum. It's just such good writing. Like, even you can watch it now and you'll still be shocked at some of the things that happen in it, even if you've seen it 4,000 times. It's just, again, it's another story film. It leads you through, you learn about the characters, and you really want the characters to succeed. It's a bit like a series in that regards, because you really do sort of resonate with these characters, even though you've probably, I'm assuming, you've probably never been in the same situation they have. And you sort of really want to back these characters and get through and see them progress. Good film. Don't really have anything else to say other than good film.
Very good film.
And then my number 1 is unarguably has to be The Lion King.
Oh, yes.
Interesting.
Don't pull that face, Becky. The Lion King is the best film to ever be made.
Reason.
So The Lion King was released in 1993, same year I was born.
Yeah.
And it's the film, apparently when I was younger, I watched The Lion King so much that I wore out the tape and they had to buy another one.
Good old VHSs.
Yeah. And I just think that there's so many great things about the film. I think the songs are really good. I think the songs in The Lion King are really good. A lot of them we already know. Everybody knows as soon as someone started singing, they can picture the sunrise coming up. They can picture Pride Rock. They can picture all the things. I think Rafiki's a really underrated character in it. I think he's a really good character in it. And I think The Lion King actually represents a lot of sort of society. If you really delve into it, I think The Lion King represents a lot of societal things as well, which we don't necessarily need to delve into now. But it's a lot more than just a kid's film. The Lion King, I'll happily watch The Lion King whether I'm happy, sad, ill, or want to go out and get drunk. So I'll watch it at any point.
Apparently the musical's good as well, at the West End. Apparently.
Yeah, I've seen it in West End. It's really good.
I haven't in the West End, but no, I've heard it's really good. Still, that's been shown for like years. They've been on the West End for must be, God knows, 50, 20
Do you
years.
guys know what the story's based on, The Lion King? Do you know where the story comes from?
Probably not.
No. So Hamlet, Shakespeare play Hamlet, it's effectively that. So Disney took it and turned it into that. So that's literally the whole storyline, which is probably why it's so timeless, because it is, a 400-year-old piece of writing or whatever, which is cool. it's Phoebe's favourite film. It's literally Phoebe's favourite film. So we are, 20 odd years later, still there.
It will probably be Phoebe's favourite film when she's 26 as well. So
probably her kid's favourite film, and then their kid's favourite film.
Yeah. When you see Mufasa die, it's always sad.
I can't. Don't do it.
Have you seen the remake?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that the other day.
Is it good or not really?
It's okay. I'd say it's better than the Jungle Book remake, probably.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I always find when they try and remake stuff, it's never as good, is it? When they try and remake.
No. Although Beauty and the Beast remake, I thought that was crazy good. Yeah.
We only watched that the other day for the first time, the new Beauty and the Beast one, and I was so shocked as to how much I loved it. So much more depth to characters and just everything. It was great. The Lion King one, though, I think because they use the same songs, so I was like trying to sing along to the old songs, and it was the new, and I was like, oh, it's not quite the same.
And the first half an hour, 45 minutes are, because I know the film so well, are pretty much word for word the same, exactly the same.
Word.
Yeah. And then they at one point they almost then switch it and go, right, well, we've decided we're going to change some of the stuff, and then some of the bits are different. So it's really confusing whether they've tried to make the exact same film or whether they've tried to. It doesn't really. It's good, but it's not the Lion King.
Yeah.
And then have you seen Lion King? There's the second Lion King. There's Lion King 2, and then I think there's a third one where you basically with Timon and Pumbaa, and they are in a cinema, and it's
spin-offs never works well.
I wouldn't recommend those, but Lion King.
Yeah, good shout. I like that list. That's good.
Good.
Well, let's hope we haven't offended everyone with our lists.
Yeah, definitely.
do get and comment and rate. Say disagree with us, because I'm sure you'll disagree with the fact that I didn't include Lord of the Rings, and I'm sure you'll disagree with the fact that Chloe didn't include any Disney princesses, and Jamie didn't include Pointless. How could he not include Pointless? So, so do get in, comment down below, see if we have any differing opinions. And that's the longest podcast we've done.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
is anyone actually going to listen to this?
We'll soon find out. But,
if you get to this point, comment and say you got to this point, because I'm interested to see.
And you get an Amazon voucher.
Well, we need to fill the last 5 minutes, so then people haven't just skipped to the end and then go, I have some voucher.
Yeah. That's true.
Right, anyway.
That was good fun. Can I say for the next one, we mentioned it a few weeks ago about doing dream diaries. So I started it, and I've now got addicted to doing it. I do it every single day if I'm dreaming. Can we do dream analysis?
I forgot to start, but I haven't done it. But I can start, I'm sure.
I was meant to start. I'd probably be able to remember some I've had.
And we could do like a divination style thing where we pick one and then we'll analyse each one. I've got loads of books for dream analysis. We could definitely do this.
Bloody hell. I'm not sure how I want my deep emotional thoughts being on the internet.
I mean, that's what social media is for, right?
Yeah. It's supposed to be everyone's diary.
Yeah, pretty much. Then their innermost thoughts just regurgitated onto the internet. That's what I thought it was for anyway.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Right. I think we'll call it a day there.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. All right.
If you have made it this far, thanks.
Cheers. Thanks, everyone.
See you next week, I guess.
We'll do.
Bye.
Later, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.